It's Wednesday, October 20th, 2021, and today's lesson will be a 2.18 Inca innovation. So, continuing with the Inca Empire, we're going to explain how the Inca innovated to meet their needs. So, again, looking at our maps, Incas are here on the west coast of South America, here bordering the Pacific Ocean to the left. And again, same map that we looked at yesterday. This is a map from 1453 that shows the Inca Empire here on the continent of South America, south of the Aztecs. And like we talked about yesterday, there were no trade routes between the Incas and the Aztecs because they did not deal with one another like this part of the world did, where you can see there are lines everywhere. So there's trade going on from Europe to Asia to Africa between the three. Southeast Asia, but this part of the world at this time, this is before Columbus made the voyage. Most of what we consider the old world here was not aware of the existence of anybody living on this part of the map. So again, we have the Inca Empire close up now, a physical map here on the right that shows mountain ranges like the Andes, Pacific Ocean to the west, and yes, our favorite lake, Lake Titicaca over here, in right smack in the middle of the Incan Empire. Okay, and now, just like we looked at yesterday, these were the series of steps really that led to the Incan Empire being so vast and large. They used their military to gain territory. They built bridges and roads to connect people of this empire. They funded these endeavors by taxing the people, just like the Aztecs did. And initially, they had a very strong, structured government with a chain of command. And their record-keeping system, or the quipu, which we will learn about later on. So now, the Inca built their civilization in the Andes Mountains. See here, very, very high mountain range. And this is like a valley in between the mountains, but it was very difficult, especially in those days, to get over these mountains and get to the other side. That's why the Incas pretty much stayed on the west coast of South America. So one innovation they had was something known as terrace farming. So again, this is on the mountains because they lived primarily on higher elevation. So the first step here, this land that cut away to make the terrace, so they carved through the mountain to make this terrace here, and they planted. They used stones to support the terrace. So again, this is really high up, thousands of feet up in the air. And this was the original slope of the hill, this line, this dotted line. But they actually dug to make this, I want to say it's about 125, 115, 125 degree angle here. So it's an obtuse angle for you math people, right? And then they also fill from the land to cut away to make the terrace. So whatever they dug out, they also filled in these other gaps here, right? So basically they made these series of steps. So this was known as terrace farming. And these documents will show up in your pod today. But we have here geographic context 2.0. So this was just getting into the geographical region in terms of vegetation of the Incan Empire. So we have here a vast array of tropical rainforest here in the green. This is bordering the western part of Brazil, basically getting into where Brazil is today. Brazil's over here, modern day Brazil. So the Amazon River flows this way. We have mountain rainforest here. We have mountain tall grass and scrubs here, this brown area. And coastal desert and scrubs. So there's desert land here. So Lima is currently the capital of modern day Peru, which is over here. Remember, Peru was in the heart of the Incan Empire. And also here, which you will look at when you work on your pod later on, we have what was referred to as the costa, or the coast. So this is the Pacific Ocean. This is a dry area that could only be used for farmland if irrigated. So if it was not irrigated by people, you could not plant there. We have the Altiplano, which was a high altitude plain where Inca families might have settled, where they grew quinoa. Remember my favorite rice? So quinoa comes from it's pronounced quinoa, even though it's spelled with a QU. So that was farmed there. They were big into potatoes. Actually, they were instrumental in introducing potatoes to the rest of the known world. So we could thank the Incas for potatoes too, and grains that they used and raised alpaca and llamas. So llamas, you've probably seen it at the Bronx Zoo or Central Park Zoo. They're actually very distant relatives of the camels. They just do not have a hump. Um, then we have, oh, this I'm going to butcher this. The the Kaya de Selva. Again, my Spanish is horrible. It's translated to eyebrow of the rainforest. So this is warm, humid area where the Incas grew maize or corn, cocoa. Cocoa also came from this region. Fruit, pepper, and raised also alpaca and llamas. And then we have the selva or rainforest, which is hot and humid climate with heavy vegetation. So again, from the Pacific Ocean through the Andes Mountains here and east of the Andes. You have these regions here where the Inca resided. Okay, so again, you will be looking at these documents in greater detail later on when you're working on your pod. So I will talk to you all later.